So that's how you do it. Wales 40, Australia 6. That's how you knock out the Wallabies of the World Cup. Almost perfect from Wales. I mean, they had to suck up a lot of the Australian attack, and they did that brilliantly. They built their way into the game. They let the Australians blow themselves out against them and then disintegrate. Brilliant stuff. Epic day for Wales. They should be absolutely delighted. Australia should be distraught because they never really fired the shots they wanted to fire, and certainly it was all over the place. So how was this game won? And first of all, you can see both sides want to attack. Both are looking dangerous and lively and positive, but field position was big. Wales were getting that a lot more in this game, and Wales just nailed their very first attack. Just a perfect start. The line out, which was great all game. Off the top, long ball to Tompkins, back inside to the flying brick that is Jack Morgan, and then support from Davis. It was brilliant. You've got to raise questions on the Australian defence as well, because Donaldson got caught on that drift. That wasn't good enough for Australia. Clinical for Wales, 7-0, and that just set the tone for the game. And Australia actually had a decent spell in this first half, hammering away at the Welsh defence. Interestingly, only taking the kicks early on a couple of times, a scrum penalty early on for the Wallabies. So, they were looking all right. They were looking dangerous. Only taking the kicks, though. Couldn't get a try. That was pretty crucial. And it looked like it could have been trouble for Wales when Biggar went off with his shoulder problem, but Anscombe did well. He does have a bit of a curl on his kick that worries me sometimes. Missed a couple, but he definitely got enough of the kick, so that wasn't a problem in the end. And the Australian attack, it was actually looking very good. They were getting those wingers into the game. Kurumbetti, Nwanga Tuwezi, and Valentini was getting on the ball as well. So they're firing a lot of shots, that's for sure. They just can't go in to the kill though. And Australia, wasteful. Wales more efficient, turning points from the possession. Tom Hooper, silly ruck penalty, gifts Anscombe 3 points, and they gifted Wales a lot of points, that's for sure. Leota, on 24 minutes, made a great break down the left. Some really exciting attack from the Wallabies. It was the eye-catching stuff from them in the first 25 minutes, but they just aren't converting. The Australian line-out started to implode a bit in this game for sure, and it had been pretty good until that point. Is it the pressure in this game? I would say yes. Maybe lack of leadership, not coping with the pressure, and it just got worse and worse. But anyway, the Welsh attack, they come away from the 22 with points, 13 points to 6 after 27 minutes. And by contrast, the Australians, inefficient, and the Welsh just soaking up that attack, staying on their feet, just watching what the Australians do very carefully, very disciplined, and just soaking it up. Faletau, I thought, was brilliant all game. Jack Morgan, once again, inspired choice as captain. He is so good. Yeah, Wales, they're letting Australia blow themselves out, wave after wave after wave, and Australia, they're not looking for territory. They're not really changing it up. It's some of the stuff that Australia have done in the past. I think under Michael Checker, they did it on a tour when England went to Australia, and Australia just kept doing the same thing again and again, and that's what it looked like today a bit. They just kept trying the same stuff. It wasn't working, and they weren't thinking of new ways of doing it. Who were the leaders on that pitch? I don't know. They could have done with a Quade Cooper, maybe Nick White on the pitch, no, Slipper maybe, dare I say, Michael Hooper. Yeah, it's hindsight, but those were the sort of players that could have knocked some heads together. Valentini gives away a pretty tricky penalty, actually. You can't fall on the ball coming out of the ruck now. So that was 16-6, and it's just starting to creep away from Australia. And I do think they start to panic. Parecki's line-out is leaking. The Welsh scrum comes back in this game after a dodgy start, and they're turning the screw. More penalties, 19-6. Patience, going through the phases. Nothing's happening quite a lot of the time for Wales, but they're just keeping the ball. So at this point, Anscombe spots space in behind, takes his time, lovely chip over, chase there from Tompkins, try, just a masterclass of patience and waiting for an opportunity. And when it finally came, they pulled the trigger. Great try, 26-6. And yeah, that is really putting the dagger into Australia already. On 50 minutes, the World Cup, they know it's slipping away, and they really start to melt now. Errors start mounting up. Penalties are just spraying out of them. A needless stray arm from Karevi, a good example there. Gifts Wales another 3 points, 29-6. Eddie Jones throws on Carter Gordon in a desperate attempt to make something happen. He doesn't really make anything happen. The Welsh defence are just right on top. Scrum's right there. Lineout's right there. kicking's much better, and the Welsh attack starts coming into the game in this second half. They know one more try is probably going to sink them, and I think I wrote here that Australia, they're just like a spaniel. Lots of energy, lots of ability, but essentially just running around pretty clueless, trying to do some things without really thinking about it, and they're playing out of their own 22, getting caught, terrible kicks. Yeah, it's just a disaster. On 68 minutes, very calm from Wales. They're just retaining the possession, nothing crazy. Anscombe's going backwards, so yep, he slots that drop goal, 35 points to 6. They know the game's gone to the Wallabies. It's a horror show. Carter Gordon kicks it straight into touch, dead from a penalty. Line-out scrum is a disaster. I mean, they're throwing the ball into touch. I mean, they are really going out of this World Cup with a tail between their legs. And just for good measure, Wales plunge the dagger that little bit deeper. Perfect line-out throw, great maul. I think it's Morgan that goes over, 40 points to 6. Destruction for Australia. Brilliant for Wales, plenty to build on there. It's not like they decimated Australia all the time with their attack. It was just clever, it was smart, and playing like that, they will be very hard to beat. Comments below on that game, please.